In today's lecture, we shall consider the application of nonlinear differential equation in microeconomics. So for that, we shall consider three goods, three markets model. So there are three goods, Q1, Q2 and Q3, and the prices are P1, P2 and P3. Now the demand for good 1 is Z1 is a function of P1, P2, P3. Z2, the demand for market 2 is a function of P1, P2, P3. And the demand for commodity 3, Z3, is a function of P1, P2 and P3. Now here we shall consider that the third market is a redundant, the equation for the third market is a redundant equation. So if there is equilibrium in the two markets, market 1 and market 2, then automatically equilibrium will occur in market 3. So in that case, we can consider P3 is equal to 1. So the third commodity is considered as a numerical commodity. So this is called numerical good. So the third commodity is a numerical good. So therefore P3 is equal to 1. So then we can rewrite the demand equation for commodity 1 and commodity 2 as Z1 is equal to Z1, which is a function of P1, P2, and Z2 is a function of P1 and P2. So here we are not considering P3 because by assumption we are taking P3 as 1. So P3 is numerical here. So here we are considering that the commodity, the demand for commodity 1 is a function of P1 and P2, and commodity 2's demand depends on P1 and P2. Now we shall consider the equilibrium in market 1 and market 2. So Z1 is a function of P1, P2, and Z2 is a function of P1 and P2. Now dP1 dt is equal to delta 1 into Z1 P1 P2, and dP2 dt is equal to delta 2 Z2 P1 P2. Because here we are considering that the change in price of commodity 1 with time depends on the demand function. So if there is a demand for commodity 1, so then the price will change. And if there is a change in demand for commodity 2, then automatically price for commodity 2 will change with time. So this equation is saying that dP1 dt, that is the change in price of commodity 1, depends on demand for commodity 1, and change in price of commodity 2 with respect to time depends on demand for commodity 2. Now if there is stability in market 1 and market 2, then we can say that dP1 dt is equal to 0. Now when dP1 dt is equal to 0, if Z1 P1 P2 is equal to 0, so we can write that in equilibrium Z1 P1 P2 is equal to 0. That means we are considering that dP1 dt is equal to 0. So from here we can write Z11 dP1 plus Z12 dP2 is equal to 0. So from here we are getting dP2 dP1 is equal to minus Z11 over Z12. So minus Z11 divided by Z12. So if there is stability in market 1, that is if there is no change in price with respect to time in market 1, then we are getting this. So when there is equilibrium in market 1, then we are getting dP2 by dP1 is equal to minus Z1 by Z2. Now when there is equilibrium in market 2, then we can say that dp2 dt is equal to 0. So when dp2 dt is equal to 0, when z2 dp1 p2 is equal to 0, because dp2 dt is equal to delta 2 into z2 p1 p2. So when this is equal to 0, then z2 p1 p2 is equal to 0. So from here we can write in equilibrium z2 p1 p2 is equal to 0. So if there is equilibrium in market 2, then z2 p1 p2 is equal to 0. So from here we can write z21 dp1 plus z22 dp2 is equal to 0. So from here we get dp2 dp1 is equal to minus z21 divided by z22. So here we are getting dp2 by dp1 is equal to minus z11 z12, and from here we are getting dp2 dp1 is equal to minus z21 by z2. So this is in this equation, this expression considers the fact that the market 2 is in equilibrium, and this expression considers the fact that market 1 is in equilibrium. Now we have to take certain assumptions about z21, z22, z11 and z12. So let us consider that z11 is less than 0, z22 less than 0, z21 greater than 0, and z12 is also greater than 0. Now what is z11? Z1 is basically the demand for commodity 1. Now z11 represents the change in demand for commodity 1 with respect to price. Now if z11 is less than 0, that means that we are considering the negatively sloped demand curve. Now what is z22? It represents the slope of the demand curve for commodity 2. So here we are considering that the commodity 2 is following the law of demand, and therefore z22 is less than 0. So the slope of the demand curve is less than 0. The demand curve is negatively sloped. Now what is z21? Z21 is the change in the quantity of commodity 2, change in demand for commodity 2 with respect to change in price of commodity 1. So if this is greater than 0, that means the goods are related to each other and they are substitutes. And here also what is z12? Z12 is the change in quantity, change in demand of commodity 1 with respect to change in price of commodity 2. Now if this is greater than 0, that means the goods are related and they are substitutes. Now we shall use these assumptions to determine the sign of dp2 dp1 and for market 2 and dp2 dp1 for market 1. So let's first consider dp2 dp1 when there is equilibrium in market 1. So dp2 by dp1 is equal to minus z11 z12 if there is equilibrium in market 1. Now by assumption z11 is less than 0, z12 is greater than 0, and there is a negative sign here. So therefore dp2 by dp1 is greater than 0. Now consider the market 2. So from market 2 we are getting dp2 by dp1 is equal to minus z21 by z22. Now by assumption z21 is greater than 0, z22 is less than 0, and there is a negative sign here. So dp2 dp1 for market 2 is greater than 0. So for both the markets, the slope of the change in change in price of commodity 2 with respect to change in price of the commodity 1 curve is greater than 0. So both the curves are positively sloped. Now let us draw the two curves. So here along the x-axis we are taking P1, along the y-axis we are taking P2. Now when we consider the market 1's equilibrium, then we have to consider this, and when we have to consider the market 2's equilibrium, then we have to consider this. So for both the cases, the curves are positively sloped curves. Now suppose by assumption we are considering that Z11, Z12 is greater than minus Z21, Z22. So by assumption we are considering that minus Z11, Z12 greater than minus Z21, Z22. So that is the curve which represents the equilibrium in market 1 is steeper than the curve which represents the equilibrium in market 2. So this is market 1's curve. So that means this is the curve which represents P1 dot is equal to 0, and this flatter curve represents P dot is equal to 0. Now along these two curves there is no change in P1 and P2. Now we have to determine the signs to the left and right of these two curves. Signs of P1 dot and P2 dot to the left and right of these two curves. So for that we have to consider two things, dP1 dot, dP1 and dP2 dot, dP2. Now what is P1 dot? P1 dot is delta 1 Z1 P1 P2. Now what is dP1 dot? dP1 delta 1 Z11. And what is dP2 dot? dP2 dP2 dot dP2 is equal to delta 2 Z22. Now by assumption this is less than 0, and by assumption this is less than 0. So dP1 dot dP1 is less than 0. So that means if we go from left to right, then P1 will rise and P1 dot will fall. So now we are along, if we consider this curve, then if we go from left to right, then we are getting these signs. To the left of this curve we are getting the positive P1 dot, to the right we are getting negative P1 dot. Now consider P2 dot. Now dP2 dot, dP2 is less than 0. Now if we go up, that means if we increase P2, then P2 dot falls. So in that case, to the right of P2 dot is positive, to the left of P2 dot is equal to 0 curve, P2 dot is negative. Now for determining the stability of this equilibrium, this intertemporal equilibrium, we have to consider 4 different points, and we have to examine where will be the equilibrium, in which direction the resultant path will proceed. So now if we consider this point, we are to the left of this P1 dot curve, P1 dot is equal to 0 curve. So here P1 dot is positive at this point. Now for stability, P1 dot should be equal to 0. Now when P1 dot will change its sign from positive to 0, if we go from left to right, and from this point P2 dot will fall, because if P2 dot falls, then that means P2 dot is changing its sign from negative to 0, and then we will be proceeding towards the equilibrium P2 dot is equal to 0 curve. So therefore P2 dot will fall at this point, and the resultant path will tend towards the intertemporal equilibrium. Now same will be true here. The resultant path will tend towards the intertemporal equilibrium, and here also the resultant paths will proceed towards the intertemporal equilibrium, and here also the equilibrium will proceed towards the intertemporal equilibrium. So here we are getting the stability of the intertemporal equilibrium, dynamic stability of the intertemporal equilibrium. So this is a case of stable node.